Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibration so you can live your best life. So, real quick energy update today. Typically, I do these when the solar energy is amplified or there's some sort of unusual intensity, tiredness, fatigue, ascension symptoms sort of bubbling up to the surface, either for me or for collectively as my community and clients report. And so there are no extraordinary solar or Schumann resonance activities to report, although they are marginally activated. Generally, things are pretty calm, and yet there is a level of intensity that is palpable. And of course, we have the eclipse coming up on Saturday, the 30th, or depending on where you are in the world. I believe it likely should come close to falling into the 30th for all of us. Maybe the 31st. We won't get into that because I covered all of that in Monday's intuitive energy report. So check that out if need be, because I do go into great detail on the eclipse. I feel intuitively more so than a feeling, but rather the sense is that there is more going on than just the solar activity. So I guess just to give you an update of where we're at on the solar activity, we did have a G1 minor geomagnetic storm in progress yesterday at 10 a.m. Central Time, and yet everything is pretty mild. Solar wind speed, minor elevation. Solar wind density, minor elevation. Hemispheric power, minor elevation. And then the solar flare is pretty traditional, standard, everyday stuff. 5 solar flares yesterday, 7 the day before, but only C class. So we're not even into the M or X classes. So there is a general sense of fatigue that has been sort of washing over everyone that I have engaged with. And it started about maybe 36 hours ago from the time of this video, which is 8:48 a.m. Central Time on April 28th. So there is something bubbling up. I would say there's a lot of purging, a sense of fatigue and tiredness, weariness, and yet unable to sleep. That there is a general localized anxiety around or even resistance to what is coming through. And none of us really understand what is coming through, that it is a general sense of something is coming, but I don't know what. Something big is coming, but we don't know what. And yet the mind is always the last to know. The body has a general sense of something's up here, so let's get some sleep. Let's make some space and purge and release. And the mind can be resistant to that. The fear of, what do I have to release? What do I have to let go of? What's coming? The brain is always trying to keep you safe, and yet oftentimes can cause more trouble than it's worth when it just spins and worries, and the anxiety bubbles up. And of course, it doesn't help when we're extremely exhausted but can't sleep. And so that disturbed sleep just creates more chaos in the mind, and is a struggle to reserve the energy necessary to continue to move forward. So I trust this will pass quickly. Again, the eclipse is on Saturday. Typically with a normal new moon or full moon, the effects are more increased 3 days before and 3 days after. So I am hoping, and I will use that word, although I usually try to shy away from it, I am hoping that 3 days after the eclipse we get some sort of release or relief. And yet at the same time, oftentimes in between the windows of the eclipses, it's continued intensity until the second eclipse passes, which I don't recall the exact date. I think we're talking May 15th is likely where we're at. Usually it's 2 weeks after, 14 days after. So we'll have to do the math. Don't shoot the messenger if that one's not right. I haven't dug into it yet, but you can pretty much count on, if it's continued sustained intensity after the 3-day point from the eclipse on Saturday, then we'll be looking at mid-May for some relief. So hang in there. You're not alone. We're all going through this together. Just remember, we all have different circumstances and yet very similar experiences. and just reach out if you need some help. Self-care is going to be huge. Make sure you're drinking lots of water. If you have that frenetic feeling, that chaos of like, I can't calm my mind, my body just feels like I've got my finger stuck in a light socket, put your feet on the ground. And this is not a spiritual woo-woo thing. Every home in the United States of America is grounded by a grounding wire that goes from the roof down to the ground, because your appliances, your TV, things of that nature, anything that is electromagnetic, runs on electricity, requires grounding or it will fry out. And so that is, it's a question of why they don't teach us this. One really has to ask that. But it's scientific fact. You can ask any cable guy, any electrician, they will agree that you absolutely must have regular grounding. And it doesn't always do to the extent that it should. It doesn't always have the effect that we would hope when we meditate and we, with our intention, ground down. Although that can be helpful, we can go down into Mother Earth and connect with her and she can assist us energetically. But there is always going to be an amplified effect by literally physically putting your feet on the ground. And another example of who has known this and how long it's been practiced is the American Indians would dig a ditch or a sort of a cradle, if you will, of dirt. And anyone who was sick or struggling would lay in that I hate to say ditch because that sounds terrible, but that cradle, and they would cover them with dirt. And the effects of our beautiful mother who nurtures and holds us would help heal them. And so remember to connect with her and allow her to assist you in navigating these next couple of weeks. So I promised it would be short, so I'm going to quit here. I love you guys. I will see you on the next video. Let me know how you're doing. All right, see you later. Bye.